Little Boosie. He has Amisha is just pulling away. She's putting her hand to her chest. He's a guy with a lot of opinions. Lots and lots of opinions. And he has lots of opinions and thoughts on LGBT people. I mean, I know gay folks who think less about being LGBT
they live rent free in Lil Boosie's mind.
I mean, he has an obsession with Lil Nas X, Montero. I mean, it is an obsession. He also has an obsession with a child named Zaya Wade. Zaya Wade is the child of Dwayne Wade, the great basketball player, and her stepmother is Gabrielle Union. And Zaya Wade identifies as trans, identifies as a woman. Little Boosie has been just on a rampage. Has it been a couple of years now?
He has, since it started, and he has, said some very hateful things about this child. Remember, this is still a youth. Attacked her personally. Acted as though somehow Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union kind of made this happen, that this wasn't a transition that was natural for this young person. This was something that was influenced by the parents, and greatly tried to diminish Dwayne Wade as a father and as a Black man because he has a child that is trans. This has been something that he has been, Lil Boosie has been on the rampage for probably 3.5 years now at this point. And nobody really understands why, because Dwayne Wade nor Gabrielle Union has ever approached or said anything about this man, but the clip is never empty when it comes to his aggression towards Zaya Wade.
Except for recently, Gabrielle Union.
Oh, she finally responded, and she's better than I, because this has been after 3 years plus going.
She finally responded. We all love Gabrielle Union, who has been a great champion for equal pay. She's somebody who is out there and makes sure she stands up for the rights, especially of Black actresses. I've interviewed her before. She's just as nice and as cool in person. And she has a daughter. She cares about her daughter. And when these high-profile celebrities make disgusting comments about other people's children, that can definitely get in the ether. And do I have this right, Amisha? Didn't Boosie allegedly pay for one of his children to be with a sex worker, allegedly?
Prostitute, sex work, whatever we want to call it. He paid for some sexual things for a child to prove how manly he was when the young man was underage.
That's fascinating. But listen to Gabrielle Union, and I want you all to think of this from the perspective of a parent, a mom who has somebody else talking about their child. I mean, Lil Nas X has grown. Lil Nas X is hilarious. He obviously, can clap back any minute. I love Lil Nas X. His clap back on social media is really good. But to be talking about a kid, I think is really strange. Listen to the one and only Gabrielle Union.
Will never abandon you, ever. But sometimes you're going to have to leave. And so far, so good, Sorry, Boosie. He's so preoccupied.
Yeah, he is. Very much
almost so. Like, thou doth protest too much, little booze.
I'm gonna
You got a lot on your mind.
I mean, it's like that out there. It's like Zaya and Lil Nas X live in his head. Like what?
It's like, sir. Something you want to just go ahead and tell us. This is a safe space. We can be your sanctuary.
Perhaps that safe space was not provided for him. And
I don't think he had a safe.
He did not have one. We could definitely tell.
Huh. So she was talking to the one and only Jamel Hill. And if you didn't hear the bleep, she said he has a lot of dick on his mind. If you couldn't hear it through the bleep, rather. And Boosie responded, and I just lost it, just completely lost it. Just babbled about, who do you think you are? I don't even have it in front of me. Who cares? But shout out to Gabrielle Union for saying something. Amisha, what do you think it is? What do you think the obsession is with this other people's children? Boosie is a cancer survivor. He has had a good amount of hit songs. He has his own children. What's really going on?
Well, I think there's no secret that there is a great amount of misogyny that exists within the rap community. We've seen it across songs. We've seen it across the way many people live their lives. But the bigger part here is that this is a guy who tries to mask his toxic masculinity in being vehemently anti-LGBT. And he has taken this child and made her his target because, one, of the fame of both of her parents. Two, because he sees athleticism as a top, that's a top agenda item. You're not supposed to be able to even have a child who is LGBT if you were someone who was at the top of your career as an athlete. He, again, to your point, which you mentioned earlier, this is also somebody who paid for an underage child of his own to have sexual relations with a sex worker. He has chosen this war to stage because it gets him media attention. Because it gets him, quite frankly, a lot of hand claps from some, otherwise poor portrayals of Black men in our community, because not everybody disagrees with him on this. There are a lot of people who look like him, who look like us, who are absolutely fine with some of the crazy stuff he has said and done. And I think that as long as that is okay and it's not shouted down, because there is a stigma against trans people broadly, but we know that that stigma exists at even higher heights if that trans person is Black.
Absolutely.
The rate there's of a violence. Lot of air given to his commentary, and he's going to keep going because, quite frankly, there's no punishment for him to stop. There's no there. People aren't leaving him. People aren't abandoning him. He still has a large fan base, and quite frankly, sadly, there are a lot of people who agree with it.
Yeah, absolutely. That rhetoric has been condoned and supported. Some folks have come out and said, "Oh, you're trying to cancel Boosie." He ain't being canceled. He's been saying this for years. He's been talking about somebody's child for years. And he hasn't been canceled. But to your point, Amisha, regardless of how you feel about trans folks, I'm here to tell you that language like that and the way that he's behaving, that is the kind of language that can create violence, right?
And often has created violence.
Often has. And it can also create policy. We literally see policy coming up, court cases coming up that are all about LGBT folks when there's no threat of that, when it's a non-issue. And then on top of that, it's a domino effect. So if they find a way to come for the LGBT folks, Boosie, I guarantee you, they'll be coming for you eventually. They'll be coming for you eventually. So I just think it's so sad that we could sometimes fall for, the gaslighting. There are so many things that a rapper should be worried about, and it shouldn't be Zaya Wade. How about how you are exploited via record labels? How about, how about what's in your own content if you're the kind of rapper who has that kind of content? But this obsession, and then it really goes to, if there is somebody or something that I don't agree with, I'm not even going to think about it. I'm just not even going to. I
don't know for the life of me how this affects his daily life or why he's decided that this is the moment that he's just going to go in. But I do think that there's something to be said about toxic masculinity run amok in a guy who feels as though anybody, taking on or becoming trans for any reason is somehow affecting Black men in the Black community. That is his, and again, there are several people who actually agree with this, that, somehow we're diminished when more Black men identify as gay or identify as trans, and that this is a shot to Black male masculinity, and that somehow media is influencing this. Nobody was thinking about it until they saw it in a movie or saw a cartoon or whatever. He's perpetuating that level of crazy.
If you are really secure in your manhood, if you are really secure in your identity, then if you're a straight man, a cisgender straight man, then how a trans person or a gay person lives their life wouldn't even shake you up. It wouldn't live in your mind at all. It wouldn't even be a thought. If you're really secure in who you are, I don't know Boosie's story. I don't know what his life was like. I don't know anything like that. But if you're secure, it wouldn't even be in your mind. And you can have your own kitchen table talk, but once you put it on social media, once you talk about a parent and their child and talk about these morals and values and how you feel like this is hurting people, how are you hurting people? I don't know. But if you're really secure, it's not going to bother you at all. And that's regardless how you feel. I know we have a lot of conservative listeners who call them with their religion and their faith, but can we all collectively agree that talking about somebody's child repeatedly is ridiculous?
Especially in an era where we're fighting for LGBT rights, where we're fighting for access, where we're fighting for mental health supports, when we're fighting for protections specifically for young people who are at the forefront when it comes to schools and individuals who are trying to basically rip them out of their right to exist. This is a very, very fractious debate, and it's frustrating to see that this is the stance he can take year after year after year, and again, attack a child. This is still somebody's child.
Yeah, and when you're getting known more for attacking a community that I'm assuming you have no connection to, then your music, something is wrong. But who knows? Maybe the GOP will make him a candidate. Maybe the GOP will make him a candidate. Maybe that'll be next. He'll be Trump's next pick. Make him, Trump loves his rappers.
I think he's going to be a little bit more cautious after Kanye asked him to be his vice president.
Yeah, maybe Torrance Hatch will run for Congress. That's Boosie's real name. Maybe that'll be, hey, let it be. Let it be what it is.